Clearly very interesting times in the UK at the moment with the 23rd of June referendum approaching. Mr Cameron seems to have put it out as a free vote to everybody. Where do you stand?
Well, I don't want really to interfere in an internal British matter, but as you said, this is going to be defining for the European future, irrespective of the outcome. I've said in other forums that if I were British, I'd probably vote to leave, but as I am Dane, I hope that the Brits will stay. And I actually think that the deal which Mr Cameron has done is not as bad as it is seemed in the public perception. At least from a Danish perspective, it solves many of the issues we've had with the indexation of childcare money, with the settlement of migration policies and things like that. So we will wait and see for the outcome, but I certainly hope that this agreement will take power.
You're speaking from a Danish perspective, but do you not feel that from the EU as a whole it will be better for the UK to remain?
Well, yes, certainly. If that stay-in outcome then will lead to a reform, because I think having ended up in a situation where the Brits now have this referendum clearly says that the EU has failed in accommodating a critical population like the Brits. And that itself should be taken very seriously, irrespective of the outcome. I believe that if the Brits vote to stay, that then will have to start a process of reform where Mr Cameron's deal will be the first one of these reform attempts, but certainly be followed up by many other countries. I hope my own Denmark will be one of those rapidly insisting on reform as well. If UK, the Brits, choose to leave, that'll also lead to a reform process here, because obviously it's a great downfall for the EU not having been able to keep the Brits in.
You say the EU has failed to be accommodating towards a critical member. What about the UK's perspective? It is a rather difficult member of the club, wouldn't you agree? And doesn't it always seem to want to get its own way and perhaps not play by the rules of the club?
Well, I don't see the Brits not playing by the rules. I see the Brits challenging the rules, and that's what politicians are for. I mean, we're not just technocrats here to obey whatever order we're given by a system like the EU. Elected politicians are to challenge and to change. And that, I think, is exactly what Mr Cameron is doing, and I think that's what Great Britain is doing. And that's wonderful, because that's actually the only thing that can make the EU survive in the future, if we reform the system so that we get closer to the citizens, closer to the desires, understandings, and legitimacy of the average voter in the European Union. That can only be done by transforming back powers to the member states in various issues, so that's as migration policies, welfare payments, foreign affairs issues, and I think many other areas.